You're listening to continuing coverage in the Las Vegas reporter murder trial of Robert Tellez from the Hidden Killers podcast and True Crime Today. Now, back to the courtroom.
This time 01 is not admitted, and we can't find the other document, but I think at the end of the day, after the jury is excused, we can go further into that.
Okay. Kimberly McMahon had provided an interview, and in it, I guess I can speak to it. I'm hoping I can speak to my personal knowledge at least on it. I understand that she had alleged that...
Objection, hearsay.
You can't go into any hearsay or what somebody else said.
Okay, well, supposedly I had requested a commission from Kimberly, and...
Objection, hearsay?
I believe he's referring to the testimony that had been elicited from Detective Jaffe in his cross-examination.
Okay, so you can, if that's what you're talking about, you can just offer whatever relevant testimony you have.
Okay. So, it was claimed by, that I asked her for commissions and or for a referral fee, which would have allegedly been in March of 2019, but she ended up making a claim that
Objection, hearsay.
So
she said.
so she was interviewed. I guess you can do the math. She was interviewed by Detective Jaffe 3.5 years later on that supposed issue. So, I think that, and also at the time I only had 4 months left on my office, right? So why would, personally I'm not sure why someone would wait 3.5 years to make a claim.
Proper opinion.
Okay, sure, okay, Your Honor, that's okay. I'll go on. So Detective Jaffe obtained this search warrant into me, being able to now from that point forward track me starting August 17th. And it seems to, at least until September 7th, right? I had requested all the surveillance logs when I was representing myself. And originally I'd received only 3 from that whole time.
Objection.
Sure.
I'm not sure why that would be relevant, so I'm going to sustain the relevance objection at this point.
Sure. Oh, and I guess this goes to a comment that Detective Jaffe had made, Your Honor. Detective Jaffe had said that they performed...
The objection was sustained.
Oh, okay, but
if you want to take it up at the end of the day, you're happy to.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was just going to explain. Okay. So can I speak about what he had said?
It'd be hearsay.
As far as... Okay, well... I thought that if it was testified in court that I could repeat his testimony in court. Is that still hearsay?
Well, generally I don't like witnesses to say, this is what another witness said.
Sure,
the jury will be the ones to determine what the testimony was, but if you have something to add based on his testimony...
Exactly right. So in order to provide context for what I provide next, I just have to remind them of what his testimony was. That's all. Is that okay?
Well, that's exactly what I don't allow witnesses to do, is tell the jury what another witness testified to. You can say generally, but it's not appropriate to inform the jury what another witness testified to, unless you have a transcript of that testimony.
All right, so what I'll do then is I will ask if we could share now. So it came to my attention that from reviewing the file into the investigation into Compass Realty, that Cynthia Sauerland was surveilled 2 days in a row. And so hopefully you can remember why that is important. And so I would like to introduce, if I may, M2.
this time, the objection is going to be sustained. However, if Mr. Draskowitz wants to call Detective Jaffe back and go into this, that is fine as well.
Thank you.
And so, because I've got other items I want to review in advance of, certain exhibits to make sure that I can get them in for what occurred on 9/2. I'm going to go ahead and go forward, and then I'll save that discussion for later. So, the Sunday after Mr. Gurman was murdered, I learned, and I was shocked. I think that, it was unreal. Then the following day, I know there was testimony about, I'd like to see if, I know there's been an exhibit that's been admitted, and it's regarding a discussion between me and Roberta Lee Kennett. I don't know if we can publish that. That would have been a discussion a text message discussion we had regarding the killer's SUV. It's a state exhibit.
That would have been a state's exhibit.
Correct.
It was listed during the fact that we could.
Something else, and then when we have, find the exhibit.
The state's exhibit, okay.
I'll keep looking.
All right, thank you.
So when we were having that conversation, you might have, she had shared a picture of this SUV, and in the picture, in the comment above it, it said something along the lines of, the front rims don't match the back rims. And I looked at the picture and thought, oh, well, you know what, that's not, that's clearly not my vehicle. And so that's what I was, that's what I conveyed in the text messages that have been admitted. So I don't know if it's...
This is the exhibit that you're referring to.
Correct, which I would think you'd normally call it hearsay, but they've been admitted, so.
I mean, for the record, this is state's exhibit 343 that's been...
Thank you, sir. Okay, sir, I'm sorry, did I... Can I ask you to,
Of course,
Absolutely.
publish.
So, here, this General Bob Custer, I'm not sure who the gentleman is, but he says that the Las Vegas murder suspect vehicles have a different spoke pattern. Most vehicles will have wheels with matching patterns. So when I saw that, I thought, oh, okay, well, obviously it's not my car because my rims all match. And so that was the substance of that conversation. But later, I thought, well, holy crap, excuse me, sorry. I thought, my gosh, it still can't be a coincidence that the killer is driving a vehicle that's like mine. So I started to get really scared. Right? It couldn't seem to be any kind of coincidence that this person was driving a vehicle that was just like mine. Thank you, sir. And so I went outside, just double checked, make sure I'm not losing my mind. I looked, I'm like, okay, well, my rims match, okay. And so I went ahead and started washing the cars, trying to just take my mind off things, And I washed the 3 cars, but there's been a debate about whether or not law enforcement knew 1 or 3, and that is what it is. Then at night, after dinner, I started making, cooking for my daughter's lunches. My one particular daughter, she won't eat the school lunch, or she didn't at the time. So I'd make her chicken fried rice off of a Google recipe. And I was distracted, and while I was distracted, I inadvertently cut my finger. And I cut it across the tip of the finger, right? And if you look at the picture, it was, I don't know if we need to bring the picture up or not, but is that something we should do, or? So basically, you'll see that it may be difficult to see, but the way that I cut it was as I was chopping right across the tip. And so, I don't know what the
I don't mean to interrupt.
No, sure.
We do have the photo that was the state's.
Oh, okay. Okay.
In the interest of time and efficiency.
Sure, please. Now, I'll tell you about this other related situation. So, while I was being self-represented, I attempted to seek these surveillance videos that included the video of me washing my car, or videos of me washing my cars. The judge granted the production of that.
Sustained.
However, I never received the videos. And
The objection was sustained.
oh, okay. So
The motion to strike is granted.
I believe the videos show that I didn't have the finger injury. If you think about it, if somebody has a serious finger injury, would they be washing?
Objection argumentative.
I mean, I would not be washing.
Testify about your own
Sure.
experience.
Oh, sure, Your Honor. I believe I would not be washing my 3 vehicles if I had a serious finger injury. And as you've probably already gathered, you're going to hear about the fact that I was at the gym at around noon. And I believe I would not be working out with a serious finger injury. Sir, you have that?
Yes, I'm with the court's permission, we're going to publish State's Exhibit. It's been admitted 185.
So, I mean, it may be tough to see that again. Like I said, it was a lateral cut, or, it went across the tip.
You see it close up.
Okay, please. So you can see I still have the tip of my finger, if you can see it there. I had put super glue on it, and they pulled the super glue plug out of my finger, and so that's, and the reason it's all gunky like that is because, again, the super glue mixed with blood. So, thank you, sir. But so when I cut my finger that night, I had used scissors to cut, the super glue bottle had actually, the tip had dried. Sometimes when I have an open super glue bottle, the tip dries and I have to cut the tip. Right? So I had to grab scissors in order to do that. And I inadvertently left blood on the scissors that I forgot to clean off. But once I cut the tip off the super glue bottle, I super glued the tip of my finger together. I believe my healing process is such that I would not have had such a nasty injury for 5 days. Again, I can't speak to anyone else's healing process, but that is what it is. I think we're going to discuss the situation of the surveillance log later. Is that right? Okay.
That is correct, based upon the judge's ruling.
Okay. So you heard that a search warrant was obtained, and I got pulled over early in the morning on September 7th, 2022. The officers came at me with their guns drawn, yelling at me, and I was basically coming from dropping off my stepson at school, getting ready to go home to pick up one of my other daughters and then take her to school. And so they just, out of nowhere, 3 police cars just run up on me from the back, and I just scared. I had no idea what was going on. I mean, they basically yell at me to just stand. I can't remember exactly what they said, but they're yelling at me. They patted me down. They handcuffed me. They threw me in the back of a patrol car. I asked them, what I did, I asked them, can I call somebody? Can I do anything? I mean, I did this for over an hour and a half. Just tell me what's going on. Tell me what's, I mean, obviously at this point, I had my suspicions because of like the whole, just all that thing. But they wouldn't tell me what was going on. They just left me there. And the whole time my family didn't know where I was. As far as I know, my daughter was expecting for me to come home and take her to school. I was distraught already by that point. I believe you've heard how distraught I was about my family and and what they were going through at that moment that I could imagine. It was my understanding that if I went to the Summerlin Area Command for them to just take this DNA and to take photographs of me, that I would be allowed to just come right back to my vehicle and go on my way. That was what I was led to believe. And then can I get, and I was led to believe that, and later I found out that 5 minutes after that, my vehicle was towed away. May I get YouTube? Yes, that should be a CAD log from a traffic stop.
You two is admitted.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And throughout this, you can see how they're mentioning that I'm going to Palo Verde to drop my stepson off at the bus stop for LBA. On page 9 of this CAD log, it's about the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 6th line down says on September 7th, 2022 at 8:09 a.m. request tow. So I was led to believe that I'd be able to come right back home, but when the tow was called in, or when you see a tow on that report a few minutes later, I don't know that was really what was intended. So then I was held there at the Summerlin Area Command. They did the swab, they did the photos, and then they took my genes. I don't know how we're doing for time, but we show with my genes and
Sure. Marked and admitted.
and also there's a photo as well.
Let me make sure what they have up there.
Do you want Mr. Draskovich to hold up the jeans?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Draskovich, here's a bigger glove if you want.
Could we also publish that? Is that photo good?
Yes, we have the
Oh,
photo.
There should be. I'm sorry. Go on.
Is Is this the photo that you'd like?
No, sir, it's one that shows the front of the pants.
Gentleman on 92, yes, he wants a picture of these pants, and the photograph that has a capture apparently. Here it is.
Actually, it may take a few more minutes, Your Honor, so I don't know if you want to just end it?
All right, so it's probably a good time
This would be a good time
to
to break.
conclude. All right, so at this time, we are going to end for the day. During this recess, you're admonished not to discuss or communicate with anyone, including your fellow jurors, in any way regarding the case or its merits, either by voice, phone, email, text, internet, or other means of communication or social media. Read, watch, or listen to any news or media accounts or commentary about the case. Do research, consult dictionaries, internet, or reference materials. Do any investigation, test a theory, recreate any aspect of the case, or in any other way investigate or learn about the case on your own, or form or express any opinion regarding the case until it's finally submitted to you. We'll be in recess till tomorrow morning at 10:30. Thank you very much and have a good evening.
Thank you, all right, you're actually very good.
Detective Jaffe probably was the appropriate witness to get those in, and I did indicate that you could recall Detective Jaffe if you wanted to.
Thank you.
All right.
More raw courtroom coverage of the trial of Karen Read is coming up from True Crime Today and the Hidden Killers podcast. Press subscribe so you don't miss a minute.